Hey, hey, coming to you from a beautiful fall day here in New England. Those regulars might notice. I've only discussed it a couple times, but this is a nylon curtain that I have. I had a beautiful one for the summer months, and then I discovered they had a fall one. So I actually went through the effort, which is kind of big, but this was my previous one. As people may or may not recall, I actually discovered I think my complexion looks a lot better with this behind me. I always think I look better in blue. I was wearing this thing all the time. But I went through the effort. I got to take the other one down. I had to put double-sided tape all around that one. Not easy. Get my sister to help me hang it. But I thought it was too funny not to do it. Anyway, last videos I recorded, one was on declaring my ADD day 1. I'm now on day 4. A little different than drinking in terms of how do you really declare a slip, if you will, but I just think I'll know. So it's going pretty well. So, and I also did a video on shivering. I'm not sure if it's going to air before this or not, but yeah, I discovered the magic of shivering. Even better. So, I was a big cold shower proponent, several videos on that. Then I started in this past week, cold baths. I just did a regular temperature cold one. But it only got to about 67 degrees. I added some ice to it, got it down to 64. Then it started getting colder outside. So it naturally, the next day, the water, because I'd already let it sit overnight, was down to like 59-ish. Added some more ice, got it down about 56 and a half or so. And I plunged 5 of the last 6 days. And then the shivering part, talked about takes over after a couple minutes in there. And, I mentioned this, but I didn't fully, properly say it, that shivering, it stimulates the conversion of energy storing white fat into energy burning brown fat, which I just think is so fascinating. And again, 15 minutes of that equals an hour of moderate cardio. So tough as it is, I'll take it any day. I went to the gym this morning and I was running back going, do I want to run for another 20, 30 minutes? I'd already gotten a decent amount of cardio at the gym just lifting. Or do I want to just go home and start doing an ice bath and start shivering? Tough call. Today, I went with the run, laid off the shivering, did my regular cold shower finish, which now seems like a joke compared to the ice bath. Anyway, and what started all this, partially started this was listening to a podcast by Huberman, who does a ton of them if you don't know him. And it was on willpower and tenacity. And he talked about the key area of the brain for those things is the Anterior Mid-Cingulate Cortex, the AMCC, which he then could have referred to it as, or found some shorter way, but he continued to say the full name about 50 times. It drove me absolutely bananas. I've learned with ADD, we tend to hyper-focus on things. People think we completely lack focus, but part of that is because we get so hyper-focused on things, we can't focus on other stuff. So I tend to focus on annoying stuff like that. He also kept saying anorexia nervosa 1,000 times or anorexia nervosa instead of just anorexia. It's like, dude, that's the only kind I've ever heard of. Pretty sure you can just say anorexia, which he eventually started saying. But that's an interesting fact about people with ADD. We do get very hyper focused. But the point of this is, so now here I'm so focused on strengthening my prefrontal cortex. Now I also have to strengthen my anterior mid-cingulate cortex as well. And a big part of it, he said, was, a healthy diet and cardio. It's amazing how cardio seems to be the answer to everything. So I stepped up my cardio, and then one way I've discovered to kind of shortcut that, sake of time, is with the shivering. So it's kind of all coming full circle. I can't say it's, totally up my willpower and tenacity, but the big thing, the message I want to get across in this video is that just like with overcoming alcoholism, in the early days, willpower virtually does you no good. And it's the same with trying to overcome ADD, especially initially. You have to put systems in place so that willpower doesn't play a factor. the coach that I've got talks about, he says, I always assume I've got zero willpower. Now, as you make progress, as you do the work, both with drinking and overcoming ADD, you can then build momentum, which then can allow some willpower to kick in. So it's such an important distinction. Initially, you have to assume zero willpower, and you have the only where willpower plays a role in both is doing the work. And I'm learning that now with ADD. It took me a long time to accept how much work I need to do to overcome drinking. And now I'm accepting how much work I need to do to overcome ADD. And all that work involves, again, putting systems in place to make me productive and allow me to focus on the right things. So I'll end it with that. As always, stronger, sober. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks.